And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of gasped a little bit when Scarlet Witch like flew in, in that one scene. I was like, that's really cool. What a time to be a nerd. Like
we're in a golden age right now. It was just like really, really good. Back. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Another Relaunch. I am Keenan. Yes.
And I am LZ. How are you guys doing today? How are you doing, Keenan?
I'm doing all right. You know, yeah. I'm feeling good. I skipped the gym today. So
okay.
So that's different.
Same, but that was already the plan. That was already in my plan.
So. No, but I'm just feeling good. I got a lot. It was a lot of good stuff happening this week between comics and the Disney Investor Day.
Yeah, a lot of exciting stuff.
It's just been a really good week, so
let's get into it. Okay, so comics this week. First up on this list is Seven Secrets #5. Now, I have still not jumped into it, and I know that I should because I feel like that's all my jam, but
so
let me know.
I really, 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 really enjoy this book. And so issue 5 comes out today. So I can't remember. I think I told you a little bit about what happened in the first 4 issues. I kind of did bulk reading of the first 4 issues, and it's the story of this organization who holds onto the secrets of the world. And so every secret has a keeper and a holder. The holder holds the box that like has whatever the secret might be, and the keeper basically protects the holder. So in this, there is now a third group called the Seekers, who are trying to destroy the secrets or like just grab them for their own reasons. And they have attacked the bases of all the like the keepers and holders, and they're like killing them off. It's this really horrible thing. You find out that the keeper of the very first secret, the man who is in charge of the Seekers, is her son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so basically issue 5 is just kind of like dealing with a lot of the fallout of that. Like people are questioning her, like, what's going on? What is this about? And she's like, I'm not explaining anything to you. We don't have time for this. I don't care about what you all are mad about. They're like killing us off. We need to get out of here. And the Seekers basically still find them. They're kind of coming to the terms that they have a mole in their organization. And and the issue basically ends with like the Seekers trying to get into this compound that they've run to hide. And it's just really good. I think this is Tom Taylor at his best. I'm kind of like up and down with Tom Taylor in some of his books. Some things I think he does really, really well. There's been some things that I haven't really loved that much, but I will say he does really great characterization.
Yeah.
And just interpersonal relationships with people. And he shines here in this book with that. The art is just amazing. It's so action-packed. It feels good. I've been playing a lot of Cyberpunk 2077 lately.
Oh, nice.
And, great game, by the way.
Okay. And I think I want to get it when I get a PlayStation 5.
You should. Absolutely. Yeah. So I have a One X. So I know a lot of people have been talking about like some bugs and things like that. I actually haven't had a single issue, a glitch or anything like that. The music is amazing. It's really immersive. And that's how I feel about Seven Secrets. Like I feel like I should be playing a soundtrack while I'm reading this book.
Oh wow. I wonder if Tom Taylor has one while he's like writing.
I might ask him that, tweet him that. Because that's a good, but it's just a book I think everybody should read. It's fun. It is from Boom, and Boom has a lot of little great things. They do the Power Rangers books too.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
definitely. Highly recommend it. It's again, and you know, it speaks to me. Action, secret organizations, people fighting, like they're like jumping out of planes and parachutes, and then they realize like, oh, this was a bad idea because the people who are trying to kill them are like in planes, so they're just like shooting them while they're falling down in the air. And it's like, wow, this is horrible. But it's also like, yeah, like it's just really intense. It's just moving super fast. You just don't catch your breath. It's great. So 7 Secrets.
Nice. Well, next on my list, which wasn't as high octane as your book just was, but was still pretty good, is Captain Marvel 24. So this was by Kelly Thompson, and the art is still by Lee Garbey. And I liked this issue, but it was kind of exposition heavy.
Okay.
So in this issue, you really get to, we've been in this whole like future timeline, And
Yeah.
we've learned about this villain Ove, who we don't know who his parents are, but he obviously has a look of Namor.
Okay.
So this book, he has invited Carol like to this New Atlantis place, and the entire team kind of works its way over there. We saw what happened when they got captured in the last issue by him, and he kind of invited them to his castle. And when they get there, none of them are like on Ove's side. They don't believe any of his hospitalities that they're offering them. They're like, no, we don't trust you at all. And he invites Carol to have the dinner with him alone. And she, of course, agrees, even though she knows, like,
They're always inviting
obviously,
her somewhere alone, you know?
right?
It's just like
They try to get my girl by herself. And he basically like tells her his entire story, and we find out who his parents are. And I know that I had said that he was probably something to do with magic, but that was wrong.
okay.
I guess it is actual magic, but not magic with a K. It's magic with a C. His mom is Amora and the Enchantress.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Amora, Enchantress, and Namor got together, and that's where he comes from.
It's a pairing.
Yeah, I didn't ever think about that one.
And so Enchantress is interesting to me. She's one of those characters where I feel like I would really enjoy, but I've never actually read too much stuff with her in it. And the things I have read with her in it, she obviously loses because she's a villain.
Right.
I think
I actually feel like you would probably really like her.
You know, she seems up my
she's magic.
alley, you know?
Yeah, she's very like, I'm a bad
but it's
bitch
also
with this
something
magic.
about her design. It's like I don't know, like the stockings or the striped pants, whatever she wears. I don't know. It really takes me out sometimes.
Yeah, she needs some kind of an update though, I think, as far as the visual goes. But she's a lot of fun. She is a villain just to be a villain. Like she
And you know, I love that.
Yeah. And so you find out all about like his parentage and where he came from and how he kind of started this new Atlantis city with the help of Jolt. I don't know if you remember her, but she was an Avenger from a really long time ago. I think from like the early 2000s, and she can turn into like lightning, like an energy form. And with her, she's like powering the city, and to keep the radiation that is like all over Earth out, they're actually being covered by armor, the X-Men armor, Ahsoka. And so none of the Carol and the team like believe that anyone is doing this like voluntarily. So they all kind of like split up at night, go do some like recon stalking and figure out where like what's really going on here. Right. They find this massive door, and of course, you know, Carol's got to punch her way through because who else is going to do that but her? And behind the door is all of the people who they thought were who they were being told were helping, but they weren't. And you see Magic with a K, Ileana Rasputin, chained up. And she's being controlled. She has this really like heartfelt moment with Emma because she hadn't seen her in a really long time. And turns out that Enchantress had been chained up Ileana and had been using her to get the limbo demons. So that's where we've been experiencing all these limbo demons coming from, where Enchantress was the one controlling.
It's so intricate. Magic. I love it.
Yeah, and then they have this whole like fight scene, and the heroes are not really winning because they're like being overrun by all these like limbo demons. And
of course, see, that's why Ileana should have called them back in Ten of Swords. The demon horde. This is exactly what we're talking about.
They can listen there. She can summon a lot of them because there were a lot of them in this book. And they're like fighting and everything. And again, Carol is like, hey, Emma, like you can use your telepathy and like shut all this down. And she just won't. And like she just ignores her like calling that out. So there's something still going on there with Emma and her telepathy. I don't know what's going on there. And of course, because it's magic, Captain Marvel gets captured by Enchantress in this like magic telekinetic like field. And she pretty much tells her to her face, like, I have you. And we all know that like magic isn't something you're good at. So are you going to give up or not?
What you're going to do?
So you're like, because, you know, she can't like really absorb magic energy like that well. So
that's interesting. I kind of wish this story actually sounds really good. You know,
it's pretty good.
I
I'm gonna
do.
get you to hop in and send some.
I
Did
do
you
kind
ever
of wish
read
that
that
it
Star
wasn't.
arc?
No, not yet. It's on the
Okay,
list
I'm
though.
gonna hold you to it.
It's on the list. I kind of wish that it wasn't taking place like in the future. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've,
yeah.
I've, I've, I've kind of gotten over like future stories and the future kids. I get it. It's fun. It's always nice to see every now and again. But I don't know.
I think the future thing, she is allowed to do a little bit more like playfulness with the
Yeah, like
characters
obviously she
because
wouldn't be able to use like magic and enchantress in this type of way if it was in
exactly.
the present. But still, I think it's just nice, and I think that is the way you would be able to bring in some other characters into this book in the Carol's world who she doesn't normally interact with. And I guess you're still technically doing that, but it's like the future, so it doesn't really make a
They don't
difference.
really know where it count. Really count. I see what you mean. I hope that
Yeah.
she does get some of this back because at the end of this, she ends up being captured. You know, she lets herself get captured
Yeah.
because she's been taken by magic. And Luke, I mean, Enchantress controls Luke Cage, and she orders him to like knock Carol out. And there's this whole brutal scene of him like just wailing on Carol until he knocks her out, and she wakes up and she's been captured. And then we find out next issue what's really going on. So I felt like this one was more exposition heavy, and the next one is when like things are really going to start picking up and hit the fan.
Okay.
I'm still in. I am excited. I'm kind of excited for this arc to kind of wrap up, mostly because I really want to see the ramifications of this arc play out. Because the biggest thing here has been her Carol's like rock, so to say, in all of this has been Rhodey, but she has now been to the future where Rhodey got a whole child and her mama looked black. so it'll be interesting to see how this like all plays out with her coming back to the present and what happens with
and you
that
think she'll
relationship.
have like all the thoughts of, oh, I saw this future, we weren't together, blah blah blah. I'm torn apart. Yeah, I can see that.
And who knows how she is going to do with, like, I don't really know what's going on with Emma too and her telepathy. So we'll see what happens.
All right, it sounds interesting. I won't lie.
Yeah. So next up, still I guess keeping it cosmic. Guardians of the Galaxy #9. Now, are you still in?
Yes. What? Oh my gosh. Right? What? This, first of all, okay, everybody knows I'm an Al Ewing stan. All right, I adore that man. I think he is amazing. This issue, okay, so before we even get into the story of it, I think people need to know the original story for Star-Lord. I don't know if everyone knows this. If you don't, hopefully this is like a new little fun bit of information for you. But when Star-Lord was originally created by Steve Englehart, he was always set up to originally be like an astrology hero. Steve Englehart had like just gotten into astrology really heavy, and so he created Star-Lord. He was supposed to be this kind of like introverted jerk character who would become like the greatest cosmic hero, and he would go on these missions. It would be like he'd go to Venus for love, he would go to Mars for war, he'd find high action adventure on Mercury and things like that. And so Ewing taking that concept, that original concept that was created however long ago, back in the 70s, and revamping it to not only fit all the retcons that have happened to Star-Lord's character, but make it so damn interesting.
Like, yo, wow. It was really good. I didn't know that about the whole original way of Star-Lord. So when I was reading this, I was like, wait, what is all this like astrology shit going on here? So I went back and kind of looked up to see like what was the deal here, and kind of learned all about like how Star-Lord was supposed to be this like cosmic thing, but I guess that just kind of got derailed
I think what happened was Englehart did it, and he wrote a couple of appearances of Star-Lord, but then he ended up leaving Marvel. And so when the next few, I think like Claremont came on, and like obviously Bendis wrote him in Guardian, Sam Humphries did him his solo series, and all of them would just kind of revamp Star-Lord's story to the mom dying of cancer thing, to him being raised by Yondu and the Ravagers and all of that stuff. And I am actually
like a cycle of that.
Yeah, and so then the MCU happened, of course, and so MCU synergy was hitting, and I think this was why I really enjoyed this issue, because I do not like the MCU Star-Lord at all. I think he is He is just
Absolutely
insufferable.
fair. Yeah.
And Star-Lord has always been a character who I've kind of stayed up to date on, because I remember him during like the Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning days when they were doing Marvel Cosmic stuff, like the Annihilation Conquest and all those kind of stories. I remember reading.
That's when like Marvel Cosmic really like kind of blew up in like
Yeah, it was like
the modern
the
day.
yeah, and so I remember those Guardian runs, and I would read those, and I enjoyed Star-Lord in those. And so, but then as the MCU kind of gained traction and they kept that synergy going, they kind of made Peter a little bit more like the Chris Pratt version, which just no, it didn't gel with me at all. And so I really like that this version of Star-Lord feels different, and it feels like, oh, this is a character who I can enjoy again.
Yeah, he feels a lot more like fleshed out and not just a like an archetype. You know, like, oh,
Yeah,
you're gonna be the goofy one who kind of stumbles around and
yeah,
he falls upward, you know,
yeah. And the
whereas
way they
this
did
has a
it,
lot of like depth to it.
exactly. And then just the way they did it with the, like you said, the astrology, the different houses, the two characters who he kind of meets on this new planet, Moors and Adara, was that her name? I'd have to go back and double check her name. She had a hot design though.
Yes, she did. And I love that they, you know, invited him into the relationship.
Yes, that was so. And I love when he told them no at first. She was like, "You're weird."
Yeah,
He was
right.
like, because he was like still stuck on Gamora. He's like, "No." He's like, "I got to go back to this woman on Earth," and she's like, "What?"
They just like couldn't comprehend like not everyone enjoying love like together. It was
Yeah.
it was really funny. I liked that.
So they were really cool. Juan Cabal's art is just out of this world. The way he lays down a page,
Oh
it
my
gives
god,
me
it's
very.
so dynamic, right?
It's and then Federico Bleed's colors enhancing those pages. It's just they have such a sense of mood, a sense of tone. It feels good. It feels intense. When the Greek pantheon came out of the element gun, I was
Right?
shook. Shook. I was like, "Oh no, we got to get out of here."
Y'all ain't gonna survive this.
Right. It's
I also love the way that the element gun was kind of like explained and the way that it
throughout the
was
yeah.
throughout the entire issue and the because I've always been of the impression that it was the way that it was described in the MCU, where it was just like,
Mhm.
you know, you can shoot
A
out
laser
fire out
gun.
and yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But to have it where it was no, it's just like like universal weapon, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh snap! I didn't know it could do all of that. I think that is much more interesting than just
Right.
a typical like elemental gun thing.
And I really love the whole concept of, the false memories, and just kind of getting into Star-Lord, and really I'm really interested to see where this story goes. And again, I'm a casual fan of the Guardians franchise. I've picked up a couple of runs here and there. I enjoy the space bounty hunter aspect of them,
Yeah.
and this was just good. The Master of the Sun is so interesting. I can't wait to see what else happens with this. I can't wait to see now that he's kind of going back. I'm a little upset because doesn't the next issue tie into King in Black?
Yeah, so this one kind of ends
Oh.
with it seems like Peter has been brought back to our like
Yeah,
time or whatever. And like the minute he is brought back, they are being attacked by some like flying symbiote thing. So
and it's just like, don't nobody want to see that. Just keep us where
they
we're
gotta have a
at.
tie. They gotta have a tie-in. So the next issue is going to be the King in Black tie-in, and then after that, you know, then we'll get into like the
It'll
meat of
be exciting
the
to
team.
see how, especially because on the world he was on with these people, he was there for like hundreds of years, 144 years to be exact. And
Yeah,
so now to like come back, and obviously it took him what 12 years to finally get over Gamora and be in this relationship with these two people. Now he's spent 144 years with them, possibly had a kid,
fair.
and
Yeah.
now he's got to come back to these Guardians who we don't even know if he's going to remember them. Well, he'll probably remember them fully, but yeah, how's he gonna act? It's great. This is a great book. Al Ewing is amazing.
Yeah, they need to just go ahead and give him the keys to the cosmic era and just like let him
I feel like they
let
can't
him
decide if
have
they
that.
want it to be him or Don Cates. And
I I am Team Ewing. I'm gonna put that out there now.
I just feel like they can't really decide who they want to be in charge of it. But yeah, I definitely lean on the Ewing side a little bit more.
All right. And next up is Marauders number 16. Now, are you reading this?
I am. I have also made the decision that this will more than likely be my last issue of this book.
Oh no, why?
I really like Jerry Dugan. I thought Caselli's art was amazing. I just don't enjoy this book.
Okay.
And I don't know the way it kind of underutilizes the rest of the cast. It is basically a Kate Emma Shaw show, which is fine if you like any of those characters. None of them really like jump out to me as like super high favorites on my list. I've also come to the realization that I don't really care about the Hellfire Club or the Hellfire machinations whatsoever. And I remember reading or like hearing about the premise of this book, and it was like, oh, they're going to be going around rescuing mutants who can't get to Krakoa on this boat, doing like black market pirate type stuff. And I don't feel that. And it's really, and don't get me wrong, I think this issue was very satisfying in the way that Kitty and Emma kind of got their revenge against Shaw and got to beat him up and show that they're all the bosses of this and they're doing it. But also it just kind of leads into this thing of like, you're still leaving Shaw alive. Even if you do humiliate him this way, he is a man who is built on pride and ego and hubris. You think he's going to just randomly stop now? And then it's like you get... And it could be an interesting story because it's like they're going to hide this stuff from the council. So it's like, even if it does come to the council, does Shaw get in trouble? Do Kitty, Emma, and Storm get in trouble because they've hidden the things that he did? It's like, I see the story potential. I see where it can go. I see why it can be super interesting. It just doesn't do it for me.
That is fair. I felt like this issue was very satisfying in the way that they wrap things up. Kind of like what you were saying, that it opens literally with them going straight to Shaw.
Putting in that work.
there is no like, coy like talking about it. It opens straight to them going to it. Now, it does actually open with Storm and Bishop like being the ones that find out about Shaw being the one to do it, which in my opinion, they were just there just to be there because that's what they've always done this entire book. Like,
yeah.
my problem with that is they have been just like wallpaper in this book. They haven't done anything.
No one else really matters in this book outside of Kitty, Emma, and yeah,
I was also under the impression that this book was going to be kind of like what you said with the rescuing mutants who couldn't get to Krakoa thing. Yeah. But on top of that, I was under the impression that they would also have the whole business dealings of the Hellfire Club. Like it was supposed to be, isn't it like Hellfire International or whatever? Like, isn't it supposed to be like a company? And
Hellfire Corporation or something like that.
Yeah, I thought they would do a lot more like businessy kind of meetings, and we see Emma doing like more dealings and her representing the Hellfire Trading Company. Yeah. But it's just been the Kate Pride and Emma Frost a team up. And like those characters aren't super favorites of mine, but I do appreciate the story and the satisfaction that they got to not only get their version of revenge on Shaw, but they have a history, a very like tumultuous history. you know, like when Kitty first came to the X-Men at all, like Emma tried to kill her. So.
It was in there.
Yeah,
who I really would like to see in this book? Firestar.
Yeah, she deserves.
I don't know if I feel like I might have said that already once before, but I feel like she'd be a good fit. I feel like it would be interesting to see the dichotomy of her and Kitty, as they were both these very just young mutants, impressionable, good girls who kind of got caught in this X world. They both have their issues with Emma. Emma killed Firestar's horse,
and gave Shadowcat one.
Like, hello. I would have been on that island burning everything up.
Shady.
So that's something I like to see. If Firestar comes in the book, I might come back. I mean, I'll probably still pick up a couple issues here and there, but overall, it's it was fine. It was a good
It was
issue.
fine. Yeah, it was fine. I am excited for hopefully what's next because I hope that now that they have finished this whole
Mm-hmm.
ordeal, originally it was, oh my gosh, we don't know what's wrong with Kitty, we can't bring her back to life, and that like dragged out for a while, and now that she's back, then it was the
Yeah.
whole thing with Shaw. So I'm hoping now that they finish all of that, we can get back to like the rest of the team. I signed up for Iceman and Bishop.
Oh yeah, we definitely gonna
Okay.
get that. We
That's who
definitely gotta
I
get it
signed up
back.
for. I wanted them,
Uh,
so
so
hopefully I get
yeah.
them soon.
All right.
All right. And the last book on the list for the week was S.W.O.R.D #1. Now, did you read this?
I did.
I absolutely like loved loved this book. It was so much fun. This again was Al Ewing, and he's out there just doing his whole thing out in space, so we love that. And the art was Valerio Schiti, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. I hope I'm
Yeah,
not
I
wrong
think it
there.
is. So I used to say shitty when I was younger, and I was just like, that just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I feel like it's Skiti. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm wrong, someone please let me know. But this book is all about swords. So we got the peak from X of Swords, and now the mutants are now a part of Sword. And it opens with the council chair, who is kind of the person who heads this all, and that is Magneto,
Yeah.
King.
All right.
I love him, top 10 character for me. So I was super excited to see him in this. Um, the way that he was just kind of walking through the peak and just like
Yeah.
speaking with everyone,
It
being
was really
adored. I loved it. Um, and then we meet Abigail Brand in this very, very
you
amazing
know
costume. The looks in this book are just wow.
this this book again. Al Ewing, man, I just feel like whenever he turns in a script, he's just like, I'm a genius. Like he's just writing, he's just in the house, he's just like, I am a genius. And it's just like this book, it brought me so much joy to read. Like the characters that were in it, the way the sword station was set up, the way that they use their powers together, the whole thing of mutant technology, the way it was explained, it was just it felt like Hoxpox, you know?
Yeah, it really felt like it was really opening and like ushering in a whole new era of something,
Yeah,
because it not only felt like fresh, it felt forward.
exactly. And
you know
it's interesting because I've never really been a fan of mutants in space stories,
you know
honestly.
that that's my jam.
I just never really got it because I was just like, why are there mutants in space? I don't
I love
understand.
it. I love it.
I was like, I just don't get it.
Absolutely love it.
But the way that he put these mutants in space and the way that he's kind of like branched out, and of course, they've been getting branched out. Sunspot's out in Shi'ar space now. Xavier has the daughter with Lalandra out there. It's, mutants are in space. We can accept it now. It makes sense. And the way that he kind of pushed this concept into them to keep them there and actually and then, even Magneto and Brand kind of have a conversation about it. She's like, this isn't like an X-Men team. We're not here trying to promote whatever. He's like, no, but you are all still mutants. And that means something. He's like, even if this is bigger than mutants and Earth and all of that stuff, you're still mutants. It still means something for mutants. And I just thought that was like such an amazing conversation. The
I
way
love him.
he's
Magneto.
great. The way that he interacted with everybody on the station, from Cable to Cortez to Frenzy to Peepers. And Peepers, shout out to Peepers fans who thought they were going to see
Okay.
him ever
Like,
again.
wow, y'all bring his peepers all the way back from like like
Like
1963. Wow.
Peepers died a long time ago, and so that was super interesting to see. And it was really interesting. It was like super funny, the scene where Cortez is trying to like kiss Magneto's ass, and he's like, I don't even remember who you are, even though he clearly does.
Right. I
But then
mean,
he
I
sees
love the way that he's
peepers
like stepped right on around him. Like,
right
oh,
on around
like
him.
Cortez is giving this whole like, oh my gosh, my liege. Like, I want to give the sincerest apologies from like the
For all
things
the
that I have
times I
done in the
betrayed
past.
you and tried to kill
Right,
you.
right. let's not act like how bad it actually was, Cortez. And I love that he just like was like, no, got to step
Right.
around him. And then he sees peepers, and it's just,
It's like,
what
my
up,
friend. It's like,
my
come to House of
homie?
M. We gonna have coffee. It's like, we need to catch up. I was like, no, this is great. I really, really enjoyed that. I loved the rest of the station, and I didn't think the cast was gonna be so big in terms of like.
Me neither.
I love that. I love a bit revolving cast that kind of like brings people in and out and shows them the characters who he used, like Random and Risk on the security team. Weren't we just talking about Risk when we were talking about the Indigenous Voices issue?
Yeah,
Like,
you were literally just talking about how you were like, I really want Risk to like come back around and like we need to
it,
wake that up. And
it was
look,
like, here we go. It's like, and this is why I really also genuinely love Al Ewing, because he kind of does that throughout all of his books. He takes these like lesser known characters, these like D through Z list folks, and he mixes them in with these like A and B list characters. He really elevates them. He gives them a story, and it's fun that he gives them a chance. I love that he gives characters chances.
yeah, I do too. Because the way that he has this whole like swords kind of set up, the branches of it are really cool. So you have like I said, Magneto is on the council and he's like the council representative, and then you have Brand, she's the station commander. And I love the way that kind of like what you said about their relationship being together, but
Yeah.
Magneto does reminds her it's still mutants. Now the technology engineer is WizKid. Now I thought this was really cool to bring WizKid back up around. I remember him back in the X Factor days when I saw
Okay,
him
yeah,
in
that's right.
91. Yeah, and he is like really powerful, like really, really powerful. He's a technopath, and he can pretty much do whatever with technology. So
Speaking of the technopaths, and not to cut you off, sorry, but I also really love how all of the mutants with some type of technology related abilities or powers, it's been noted how all of their powers have adapted to the Krakoan biotech that
yeah,
has been created. I thought that was like super interesting. And I thought because I've been thinking about that with characters like Trinity and Sage, who have these high positions in Krakoa. And it's just like they made a very big deal in the beginning of Hoxpox about how there was no technology on Krakoa. There was no electronics. Everything was like the bio floral fauna and all these other things. So I was like, how are these characters kind of like thriving and what are they doing? So to continuously see that, it's like, oh no, again, and I think it speaks to the whole mutants and evolution and adaptation. Also, it's just like this new type of technology, this bio flower technology has created, and now all of their powers are working to actually work with that. I think that's super great.
yeah, I think that's really awesome. And over in logistics, you have Manifold, who I think is a really dope character. He was
Shout
normally
out to
always with the
him.
Avengers,
Yeah. Finally coming back home.
Yeah, I know, right? I love that. And then you have Fabian Cortez in medical and energy resources, which child, we all know how we feel about him.
Okay. I like
Shady.
Cortez.
of course you do.
Oh my gosh,
Cortez is a mess.
he was one of he
You know who hates Cortez? Exodus.
Cortez was low-key like one of those characters who I would have made a captain of Krakoa just for the mess.
The mess, yeah.
Just for the
Yeah.
mess. I also really like this team because just the ability or the option that Ewing has presented himself with to add anybody else onto this book. Like you can just keep making these departments bigger. Do you have any ideas of who you think the telepath might be?
I don't. So I know that they have that like psionic analyst left open, and
Yeah.
it's easy to say one of the main telepaths,
Yeah.
the Jean, Emma, Betsy. It's easy to guess any of them, but I don't
Yeah.
think that's what Ewing's gonna do.
That's not
I really
Ewing's
don't.
jam.
I know.
He is putting his hand deep into the bucket and he is pulling something out from the bottom, and I cannot wait to find out.
There's got to be some like telepath from I don't even know,
So
random that I can't even think of. Maybe No Girl.
that would be fun. That
Yeah,
would actually be
her.
really fun. I'd be into that. I was saying that it was going to be Sabretooth used to have that little sidekick. What was she? She was like his bodyguard, Birdie. She used to help him with her telepathy calm his like psychotic urges until she was eventually killed. She's been in maybe like, I don't know, like 6 issues altogether.
I was gonna say I don't have no idea who you're talking about.
But so I don't know if you saw artist Peter Nguyen. He did this big X-Men piece where he did all the telepaths, all the mutant telepaths.
Oh yeah, I did see that. That was really cool.
And I'll never forget when I was like going through the list. I don't know why something happened. I was reading an old comic and Birdie was in there with Sage. And I was like, oh, Birdie. I was like, oh wait, Birdie's a telepath. I was like, did he put her on here? And sure enough, I go into the thing and like he has Birdie on there. She's like number 36. And so ever since then, I was just like, people know who Birdie is. Birdie is the S.W.O.R.D telepath. It's gonna happen. And I was like, they got Sabretooth down in the pit, so we can like build off of that and see how she feels. I'm here for it.
The way really you champion these D-list characters is truly mind-boggling. Because who the fuck is a Birdie?
Birdie is me. She used to wear this like little sleek black costume with these giant shoulder pads. She had this giant gun that she would just be like popping off, and she had this blue ponytail. She was everything.
If you say so.
She's a hot girl. She's a hot girl. But this.
So over in the other branches on S.W.O.R.D, we have the diplomacy and negotiation ambassador of Frenzy. Now, yes, absolutely. Frenzy deserves, okay, a queen of the people. And I love the way that she was introduced in this, because you would expect her to kind of go back to her whole acolyte role of her kind of fawning over Xavier. Over Magneto and everything, or at least that's how she's always been written. But I really love that Ewing was like, we're not doing that. And when Magneto kind of appears, she says like, there was a time when I did like obsess over this man, but that's not who I am anymore. And I'm moving forward. And I think she's gonna kick ass in all ways of the word in this book.
Frenzy is one of my favorite characters in the X-Women. So if I had to do a top 4 female X characters, it would be Betsy, Frenzy, Dazzler, and Danny.
Taste.
And finally, I've been following Frenzy's character for years, especially after Mike Carey kind of tried to elevate her after he did the Age of X event, and he put her onto the X team. He had her wearing that costume. She's kind of found like some more heroic stuff. I remember when James Asmus was writing All New Humans, and he kind of brought Frenzy in as, and then she wasn't really an ambassador for mutants there, but she was like a protector of mutants. So unfortunately, I'm sure most of us remember the Inhumans era of Marvel, where the Terrigen Mist Cloud was like going around, and any mutant who was caught in it was like getting sick and dying. And Frenzy kind of took on this role where she was rescuing mutants from the cloud. And I'll never forget that issue of All New Inhumans. Like, she has this like plane, she's trying to grab all these mutants from this boat, but she doesn't have enough space. And so she's going to have to leave some of the people. And then like Crystal and then humans pop up, and they're like, okay, we're here to help you. And they try and talk to Frenzy. And Frenzy's like, this isn't the first time I've had to leave people. You know what I'm saying? She's like, you're not doing me any favors. I've made these hard decisions already. She was like, this is actually your fault. You need to be the one out here rescuing these people. And so like Crystal trying to get her to come in and like help with that. And so I've just watched Frenzy kind of go through all these motions where people have been trying to put her in these positions to move her up, and it just never really sticks. And so kind of having her here in this book, which was really good and really well received, and feels like, yeah, this is going to stick and be around for a while. It's like, I have won. I have finally won.
and like her being an ambassador really fits her 100%. Role, like her character, and like where her story was kind of really going. So I think that's really dope. And then having Armor as her like ambassador in training will be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see. I did, and I'm excited to see her like. I'm excited to see her armor up and get to punching bitches too.
I don't know why Armor is here. We did not need her. We could have had Unision. We could have had Eunice the Untouchable. We could have had so many other characters who have like some. We could have had Skids. We did not need.
Oh well, they did say, which I really love in this book, that none of those characters are like quote unquote permanent, and where they were talking about the whole circuits and how they can like all be altered and like taken out. And I think he specifically said that like Skids could replace Armor in like the circuit, which I think was really cool. And then in security, you had Cable.
Armor. You know, I don't like Armor.
Oh, well, yeah, I know. See, I'm just being shady.
um,
Um,
Cable in charge of
this
security was interesting.
I feel like that was like like I feel like he has a lot of really like a big fan base, you know. So
Really?
yeah, I think Cable's really popular.
Like kid Cable or like old man Cable?
I think just Cable, like it
Oh,
don't matter. I think he might be pretty popular. I could be wrong. That would be the only reason I can explain why he keep popping up everywhere.
does keep popping up everywhere. I don't know. Kid Cable has a
I like
weird.
Kid Cable. I
He
like him more than
hasn't.
Old Man Cable.
He has a. So I don't really care for old man Cable either. But Kid Cable hasn't clicked for me. So I don't really see it. But I do like his security team. Again, and again, I think my thing with it is just also kind of I think about the Hickman era when it first started, and a big part of it was again we have all these mutants on this island. We have everybody here. We don't really need these characters to be in repeating books. I
Right,
don't need
right.
Cable to have his own series and be in Sword and be in Ten of Swords and do that. Like, there's other people who we can supplement him for. But again, like you said, this is a book where nothing really has to be permanent. Any of these people can be switched out at a moment's notice. I don't really think
Yeah.
the department heads will, but you never know.
No, probably not the department heads, but I think everybody that was under them and
Yeah,
all of them will definitely be like around and heavily used within the book. I don't think that
yeah.
this will be a thing of only those main characters or even just two of them will be that way. Because if there's one thing Ewing's gonna do, it's gonna have he's gonna have a rotating cast,
Okay.
and everybody's gonna get their shine.
And I do love how also he kind of seems to be connecting a lot of his little books. There was something I think the Snark War it's called. It was mentioned in this book, like when they were in that big temporal anomaly part. But like I know that's also been mentioned in Guardians.
Yeah, and in all of his other books so far recently, he's been mentioning something bubbling under with like Shi'ar and like
Yeah,
what's going on with in their space versus kind of where like Earth space is. So something,
yeah.
some kind of big
He,
clash is coming.
he's doing a really great job at just seeding a lot of different things in a lot of different places. He is amazing. I think he's my
Yeah,
favorite writer right now.
yeah, he's really dope. I highly recommend this book. I really want Valerio to design more X characters.
It's also really amazing to see Valerio's growth. I don't know if you ever read the run of Journey in the Mystery that featured Sif.
I did not know.
So that was actually where I first came into contact with Valerio's art. And I just remember loving it back then. And then he went on to do like Guardians, and then he did some other stuff. He drew this picture of Betsy once before. It was like really, really dope. It was actually after I tweeted him saying, "Oh, I'd love to see your Betsy," and then he like drew it, and I was like, "Yeah." So, but like watching his art and just the way it's grown has also been extremely satisfying. I think this is probably like a dream creative team for me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think there was any way this book would have been bad, but even if it would have been bad, I would have been like, I love it.
At least you can admit the bias.
Yeah.
What was your book of the week?
It's between this and Guardians for sure. Like, I think just the things that both of those books did, the way that they kind of like moved things forward, introduced new concepts, character work, pages, colors, like there's Ewing, Cabal, Skeety, everyone just it's one of those. I don't know, both of them. I can't decide.
If I had to pick a book of the week, I would go with Sword. I think that was my book of the week. It was just it's the way you usher in like a new series for me.
This is a really
This is
good
a
number
really good
one.
number one. It was fantastic.
This is how you do a number one. I
I'm
also
I'm
really
very
love
much
the
into it.
concept of the six and sword. I've loved what they're kind of doing with the numbers. Like we've had the five in charge of resurrections. We have like the six now a part of this like mutant technology aspect. It makes me think back to Apocalypse and the 12.
Yeah.
And it's like, are we going to do something else with that? Like, what are the next few numbers? Like, let's keep combining these things. I love it. Tina should have kind of did something like that with mutant magic.
Well, she kind of did with like it was supposed to be like four mutants together could like make something, right?
Yeah, but Sword was really great, so everyone go pick that up.
For sure. that was definitely my book of the week. All right,
Oh,
that was the
and
last. Oh, okay.
so I didn't actually read any of these books, but I would love for the listeners, you guys, if you read them, can you let me know? Batman Black and White #1, Strange Academy. I think it's
Oh,
number
okay.
5 or 6. I've been hearing some good things about Strange Academy. So again, Strange Academy for me is like one of those books where it seems like a lot of younger kids, and I've kind of gotten to the point where I just don't think younger kids interest me. But of course, I know a lot of the teachers, like Magic's in it. I think Scarlet Witch is in it. Hellstrom's in it. So I think that part, and I like Magic. So I've been teetering back and forth if I really want to get into this book. I would love for people to let me know how it is, if they think I should actually give it a chance. And then there was a new Image book called Homesick Pilots. Not really sure what it's about. The cover looked amazing though when I was like scrolling through Image books. So if anybody picked that up, please let me know how that is also. Those are my 3 like I'm thinking about trying. Batman Black and White, Strange Academy, Homesick Pilots.
All right, nice. Definitely let us know if you guys are reading those and give us some recommendations. Those were the books of the week. Let's take a break and then we'll come back.
All right. All right, we are back now. We have a lot to discuss right now.
Yes, this discussion section is going to be a lot of fun.
So for everyone, I don't know if why you wouldn't know unless you've been like living under a rock. But this past week, I keep saying DC, Disney had their investor day. And during this investor day, they released a bunch of new information about their slates, movies, TV shows. For all the Star Wars fans out there, you got very lucky. You have a lot of new content coming to Disney Plus.
Yes, I'm so excited. Like, oh wow.
I know
I
that's
won't
been like
even
a
we
big
won't even
thing.
get into it, but like they did a lot there, but like wow.
I know that's been a thing. Like it's only been The Mandalorian or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's it. And I mean, to be honest, The Mandalorian has been carrying Disney Plus on their back since it's been launched. Because Disney Plus is a bunch of like nostalgia Disney movies and shit, and
Yeah.
Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But now with this stuff that's been announced now, they're really gonna start like ramping up the content.
So congrats to all the Star Wars fans, because I know that was a big win for them. I personally have never really been able to get into Star Wars super heavy. But that fandom is strong.
Ooh, I love Star Wars. Star Wars. Now, Star Wars, the universe, in my opinion, is better than the movies themselves. And that's including like just across the board. The universe to me is what's exciting about Star Wars, because there's so many different paths you can kind of jump into, the Jedi and all different kinds of smugglers and different types of characters outside of what you get from the films. The comics are really, really good.
I've heard good things about the comics. Honestly, I think the designs have always kind of turned me off. I've I know it's supposed to be like this futuristic thing, but it still always kind of like looks old. And then like a lot of the suits, I think of the like clones. I think they are the white guys.
Yeah,
They're just so big and it's a it's great. It's
I'm
just not
loving
for
it.
me. I'm happy for you.
Absolutely loving it.
But the stuff that did grab me, of course, was all
Yes.
this Marvel Studios information that dropped. Now, we got hit with so much. Of course, there were some things we already know. They announced Blade. They announced Moon. We did not get confirmation that Oscar Isaac was Moon Knight, and that has left me in a terrifying spot.
Yeah, I don't think he gets his. I don't think that's going to be him anymore. I think
And
he may have dropped out.
yeah, and someone like made a tweet about it. They were like, "Oh, I wonder if that's why he's able to do Metal Gear Solid now, because he's not doing Moon Knight." And I was just like, "Wow, that is a shot to the heart."
Yeah, Metal Gear must have came with a bigger check or something.
I have no idea. I'm hoping that something still happens. Maybe by the next Comic-Con or D23, like it'll be confirmed or we can get something with it. But we did get Tatiana confirmed as She-Hulk, which was fantastic. We know that Mark Ruffalo is going to be in that.
That's
We
awesome.
got confirmation that Jonathan Majors is going to be Kang in the Ant-Man and Wasp's third movie, Quantumanium. Michelle Pfeiffer is going to return for that. We got a couple of new shows, Secret
Oh, speaking
Invasion.
of speaking of that though, in that they also recast Cassie Lang in that. I don't
Oh
know if you
yes,
noticed
Catherine
that.
Newton is now
Yeah,
Cassie Lang.
yeah, which to me shows that they are not only did they get like a more popular actress
Yeah.
than who was playing Cassie before, they went with a blonde actress, and that's giving stature vibes for me. So
Very
I'm
much
feeling
Thatcher
like
vibes. The Young Avengers are coming. The Young Avengers are definitely coming. We've got Haley Steinfeld. We've been seeing the set photos of her on Hawkeye. We have Stature obviously going to come in. Um, Again on the like new show front, we have Secret Invasion. Nick Fury is going to be dealing with his own show, and the Scroll from Captain Marvel. Armory Wars. Don Cheadle's coming back as War Machine to help stop people from getting hands on Tony Stark's tech, which we kind of have all the time. I think I won't lie. I think Armory Wars was kind of the only series where, well, like one of the two series where I was like, I don't know if we need this one. But again, I think that's great for Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle is an amazing actor. He deserves all the best. So, like,
honestly,
honestly,
I feel like the Armor Wars, the MCU TV show, will probably be a better representation of it than what happened in the comics. Now, I'm not the biggest like Iron Man fan, but I have kind of kept up with some of his stuff like back in the
yeah,
day. And the Armor Wars, for the most part, aren't very loved within amongst comic book readers. Like that storyline isn't very loved. But I think doing something with Rhodey and Don Cheadle, I think that will be a lot more interesting than kind of what
agree.
was done in the comics. So I think
Don
it'll be
Cheadle's
better than
like
what we know.
really well loved, and he's like super charismatic. So, and again, like, he's the black guy. We got to support that.
Exactly.
Um, another big thing, especially on the Iron Front, we got news of the Ironheart show.
Yes, that was super
Dominique
exciting.
Thorne will be portraying Riri Williams on Disney Plus in Ironheart. That was
That's
really
really
cute.
exciting. I wasn't expecting an Ironheart series at all. Like
At all. I
yeah,
really thought we would get like a Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur before Ironheart.
really.
Yeah. I don't know. I've read I've told you I've read Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur before. I like bought some of the books. I sent them to my little sister. It was like a fun little read. And I really felt like Marvel was kind of pushing her Lunella as like their next big young hero for a while. And I feel like she's kind of fallen off a little bit. We don't see too much of her anymore, which is shocking to me. But I was just sure like she's the young one who they want. Like she's gonna be next. But I mean, I'm mad at Riri either.
Yeah, I thought that that announcement is really cool. I am originally from Chicago, so it's
Oh,
really cool to see,
sure what?
you know, you know, a little Chi-Town hero getting some love there. I haven't really read a lot of Ironheart, mostly because I'm old, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm just not. That's not like my demographic. So
Again, she's one when her stories first came out. I did try that first run. I read the issues of that. I tried to get into, I think, with the Eve Ewing series
yeah,
that came about. Again, Champions. I tried it. Like you said, we're just old.
we
I
just
just look
old.
at it and we're just like, look at these damn kids. Look at these dumbass kids.
Right. And I will definitely support, because you know that I think that's awesome that she's getting this opportunity to have her own show.
Yeah.
Dark skinned girl leading a superhero franchise is awesome.
Phenomenal.
So I'm all for it.
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
gonna
might
be
buy
exciting.
I might buy some more books and send them to my little sister, see if she's into it.
Oh yeah, she probably will.
I don't know. She's weird. She'll be giving me no play. Um, another big thing was Christian Bale was confirmed as Gore for Thor: Love and Thunder, and a couple days after that, we actually got confirmation that Jamie Alexander will be coming back as Sif.
That's exciting. I know you were probably really excited for that. I know you're a Sif fan.
I have been waiting, like it like, and I know Jamie Alexander was doing her show, The Blind Spot, I think it's called, and so that's why she was never really coming back to the Thor films. It just wasn't working with the schedule. And I think that's finally over. And so now that she's actually free to come back, I'm so excited because it's like now I'm getting Sif, I'm getting Jane Thor. Jane Thor is like one of my favorite characters, and I'm getting Tessa's Valkyrie, and I'm gonna get all of them together.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
And
Fantastic.
homeboy as Gord, the God Butcher, I think will be even better. So wow.
This is looking up to be a really good one. We got news that the Guardians are going to get their little specials on Disney Plus. James Gunn is coming back for that. I don't know. I know something. I I pers-
Yeah. I don't really see it for him like that, but you know, he
Guardians
really gets.
movies. It's really interesting to me because I really loved the first Guardians movie.
Oh, me too.
And I remember being so shocked about loving it because I wasn't excited for it at all. Like when Guardians of the Galaxy first got announced, I was like, "Oh, this is just not my jam. I don't think I'm going to care about this movie." And then I went to that theater and I saw that movie, and it was just so good and it was so well done. And then the second one came out, and I hated it. And then anytime they've been in any of the other big movies, Infinity War, Endgame, whatever, I have just not enjoyed the Guardians in those films at all. So these specials, that was the other thing that kind of fell lower on the totem pole for me. But I will be interested to see if they expand the Guardians anymore because
Oh
I
yeah,
felt
like make the roster longer or like bring
yeah
in some new characters.
because we still have that whole Adam Warlock subplot
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
on the back burner somewhere. So I'll be excited to see if that ever comes back around because I like Adam Warlock a lot. And another big thing, they announced their Fantastic Four MCU movie. I mean, we of course we knew it was coming, but you know, we got like the little logo teaser with the Marvel Studios logo on it. So that was really nice. I mean, they're coming.
Listen,
I know.
listen.
I know.
I I know that you probably heard something when this was dropped, and that was me screaming. Because
I
you know Sue is like my favorite Marvel character.
yeah.
So to finally see her on live action for the first time, yes, that's what I'm saying. It will be really exciting to see the Fantastic Four really like done well. And
Yeah.
I saw that they said that John Watts was going to be the one to direct the movie, and he did Homecoming and Far From Home. Now, for me, I liked those movies, and I've seen some people kind of say that they were not excited about John Watts doing the Fantastic Four, which, in my opinion, who did you
Yeah.
think was going to do the Fantastic? Did you want Zack Snyder to do it? Like, they're not gonna get like some dark toned
Yeah.
like director to do that kind of movie. That's not them. And I also feel though, like, do you not like John Watts as a director, or do you just not like MCU Spider-Man? And I think
Mhm.
sometimes people just don't like MCU Spider-Man and he's still like a teenager and in high school. You didn't dislike the director.
Yeah.
So I think with um different material and different characters, he will be able to like really like launch these. So I am super
Yeah.
hyped for the Fantastic Four to finally be brought into the MCU.
I am excited that we will finally get the villains of the Fantastic Four, that we are finally going to get an MCU Doom. I am super
Yes.
pumped for that.
Yeah.
We're gonna get Galactus, Silver Surfer. We're gonna start to see a lot of those characters kind of coming in, and I'm really excited to see how Marvel expands their cosmic universe with them. Because again, that's something I felt like while Guardians is great, they've kind of like lacked with that because all of the cosmic stuff has really been like on the Fantastic Four side, and I was locked up with Fox.
Yeah.
So
With the
and
Fantastic Four, it really opens the door now to like so many different villains that the MCU didn't have access to before, but
yeah,
now like they can have use any of those characters. So it'll be really cool to see how many of the different ones are kind of integrated into all those other movies as well.
it's going to be really interesting. I'm excited for that. Obviously, I'm going to go see the Fantastic Four movie, even if you know they're not really my jam. I've seen all the other ones for some reason, so I might as
Yeah.
well,
Might as well.
I go see the one that I actually think will do it well.
Yeah.
So that'll be really exciting. We got new trailers for a couple of things: WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, the What If animated series.
Now, before we get into the trailers, though, you uh, brushed over the other announcement that was done, and that was Captain Marvel 2 and its release date of November 11th, 2022, and confirmation that it would not only have Spectrum, but Ms. Marvel in it.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh, I did totally forget about Ms.Marvel, and yes, I forgot about that one.
And it'll be directed by Nia DaCosta, a Black woman. So
Yeah.
it's the way that I won.
And we also
I'm
got
really,
like
I'm really getting a movie with Captain Marvel, Spectrum, Ms. Marvel, directed by a Black woman. I super excited for.
Do you think it's actually going to come out in theaters?
No, I don't think a lot of these movies that they kind of announced recently will actually see.
That was one of my things, because they gave a new release date for Black Widow and Black Panther and a couple of those other things, and it's just like, especially for Black Widow, I think that's supposed to come out early next year, and they're talking about in theaters. Yeah. It's like, baby, no one's going to see this in the theater.
Right? No, I think that they need to start to maybe look at some dual launch ideas where you can do theaters and some streaming situations going on, because
and I know everybody was talking
happen.
about, you know, HBO Max and how they made their big announcement that things would go to streaming and stuff like that. And they were like, oh, they tried it. And then Marvel came back out with all their announcements. But it's like, yeah, but it's like, if you're still telling me you think I'm going to go to a theater, they're not going to be open. First of all, at least here not in this America.
Right. No.
You know, other countries with good leadership, I'm pretty sure they'll be fine. But
exactly,
we not going to see that in the theater. And so I guess that's just really kind of frustrating to me that they're really just holding on to that.
Yeah, you would think. I think that it seems as though they're trying to like keep hope alive or something that's going to happen. But I'd rather them just like cut the shit. Just keep it real.
Because it's like, if this movie gets pushed back one more time,
right? They really don't need to do that at all.
How do you feel about the Black Panther news that they were going to be doing the sequel, but it wouldn't be recasting T'Challa? It would just kind of focus more on Shuri and Wakanda as a whole.
So I think that as a company, they really didn't have any other options, because it would have been kind of bad if whichever way they went, there would have been backlash whichever route they took, whether they recast T'Challa or not.
Yeah.
Personally, I think not recasting him was smart for the next movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, with the schedule that they were already getting ready to start filming it, like I think they are doing that fairly soon. Mm-hmm. It probably would have been really, really hard to do a whole recast, you know, and just do that all over. So it's more respectful, in my opinion, to kind of honor him and not recast him for this particular movie. But then maybe going forward, they'll figure out how to actually have a T'Challa and a Black Panther in the MCU, you know, after this movie, you know. But I think it would have been a little bit, because it is so soon to when he passed. I think it would have looked kind of poor on their end to recast him so soon.
Do you think, you know, everybody was thinking Storm was going to show up in Black Panther 2 now?
I mean, she probably will now. I mean, honestly, like at this point, like you probably might want to do that to just kind of like bring in some more stuff so that you can kind of show the people the things around Black Panther anyway, you know, how they deal with him. And then that kind of gives you a little bit more time to figure things out, you know, going forward. Yeah,
we'll see. I know that will.
I mean, I personally wouldn't need it, but because I've never wanted Storm to just always end up being Black Panther's girlfriend. You know, I feel like she's more than that. But I already know that eventually she's gonna be in those films. Like that's just gonna happen. So it is what it is.
That's good. And what did you think about the What If trailer? I know we both really love animation. I personally really love the style that they had. I think the clips that they showed with Doctor Strange especially like stood out.
That was really cool. Yeah.
Just looked really, really good. I didn't think it was something I was going to be excited for, but I'm in.
I'm in too. I thought the animation looked really smooth. I thought that the the choice of what ifs to do were interesting too. You know, we kind of saw
Mhm.
like what if Black Panther became Star-Lord. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty interesting. I've always been a fan of the what if comics, you know, that they used to do. They don't
Okay.
really do them.
Yeah.
They Ironically enough, though, they don't do them as much because if you were to actually go back and look, a lot of
Mhm.
the what ifs now have all happened. um, like they've done a lot of the stories that we've gotten as events or something have all
Mhm.
been like what
What
ifs.
ifs? Oh yeah, that's kind of accurate actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go back and check it. Go back and check some of the what ifs out online and see that, oh wait, they actually have done that before.
I,
So it'll be interesting to see this kind of animated show and see how they would do the
yeah.
MCU stuff. So I'm in.
I'm into. I think it was just a really good presentation all around.
Yeah.
Everything got me excited. But again, I think that's one thing that Marvel Studios has been consistent with in keeping that excitement for these movies and these shows. Even the WandaVision trailer that showed, WandaVision I thought was like going to be a fine show. None of the trailers and what I've seen have really got me super hyped for it. But the one that they showed this go round, I'm like, yes, I cannot wait to see this.
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
very excited for it.
I feel like the trailers before this one were kind of like, I don't really know what's really going on with this. And I
Yeah.
don't really know if I need to tune into this. Because I mean, I'm not the biggest Scarlet Witch fan. I think her powers are cool, like they look cool, the visual is cool, but I'm not the biggest Scarlet Witch fan. But I'm excited for the things that are going to be like around her
Mm-hmm.
in this show. And then this trailer was just like awesome
It was
to
insane. We
see.
saw Monica.
Yeah. With her afro and like speaking and all of that. I was like, yes, come
Yeah,
on, Spectrum. I am here for this.
it was really good.
And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of gasped a little bit when Scarlet Witch like flew in, in that one scene. I was like, that's really cool. What a time to be a nerd. Like
We're in a golden age right now. It was just like really, really good. It's just a good concept. Again, I'm also not a huge like comic book Scarlet Witch fan, but I do see she's one of those characters where she's made for live action. Like
for sure. Yeah.
she is going to be a great, and again, and that even leads us into getting more into her magic, and we know that she's going to be in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness there. We also got America Chavez confirmed, so another ding for the Young Avengers. They are coming.
They also dropped the hint. I don't know if you noticed that they said in their announcement for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness that it would deal with stuff that happens in WandaVision, and it said future Spider-Man movies. So I'm assuming that something with the multiverse or whatever is going to be going down in Spider-Man 3.
Do you think they're kind of building to like a Secret Wars type of situation?
I hope so. I love Secret Wars. that first Secret Wars was probably one of my favorite like crossovers. It's a lot of fun just seeing everybody like on this world and having to figure shit out and like fight each other and stuff. I loved it. So I think, to be honest, Secret Wars, in my opinion, is the way to redo all of this and start over. So if whenever it's time to like reboot the MCU or just like start over from scratch, if they wanted to, you could easily do Secret Wars and just have something mash all these universes together, and then y'all got to figure it out, and then everyone wakes up and it's a whole new timeline. I think that is something I think that they should do in the future.
Okay, I'm into that.
Now, what did you think of the Falcon and Winter Soldier trailer? Because I know you are like, I wanted to check on your pulse when Falcon was like in that trailer.
I was like, the new suit looks so good. I've realized lately that I love superhero costumes that have white in them.
Okay.
Like I've just realized like a lot of my favorite costumes, like there's like a very big portion of white somewhere in it. And I've always really enjoyed the like white and red suits of Falcon. So to finally kind of get that color in the movies, and it's like, oh gosh, like we're finally getting like I do feel like it should have been his suit maybe like a movie or two ago. I feel like he should have debuted this in like Civil War or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we're finally getting it nonetheless. It was great to kind of see him in that final shot just flying through the training session where they're shooting missiles at him. I was like, yes, we're finally getting to see him like fly, his maneuverability, because that's one of the things about Sam is that he is really good in the air with his wings. He's supposed to be like super agile. So we're finally getting that. I'm
Yo, when he
excited
was
to
like flying through that canyon and like flipping
the
around
missiles were
and all
just
that with the
coming.
wings, I thought that
Loved
was
it.
awesome.
The way the wings extended out, like it was truly just amazing. I'm so excited. I love Falcon. I am ready.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what it builds to if we do go full Captain Falcon.
Oh,
Because I
yeah.
know
Okay.
because I know U.S. agent is in the book and he's kind of supposed to be like the Captain America of the government. And of course, that's what happened in the storyline as well. And I just want to see like if we get into it and will he actually become the next Captain America or will he just kind of stay Falcon with his own little version of the shield? Good stuff. I'm ready.
Yeah, this is
I'm
exciting
ready to see him
stuff.
kick people in the face.
He loves to kick.
He loves the kick.
He loves to kick. I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of that. I think his
I'm ready.
dynamic with Winter Soldier is a lot of fun. And
Real
I'm
good.
excited to see kind of what they do together in the show. This could be really fun. And I think that this show could be one for me that could be fun and like a favorite because I'm a big Wonder Man fan. And
That's right.
the way that Wonder Man gets his powers is he was experimented on by Zemo. So I don't know, and I know that
Okay.
Zemo was in Civil War and he's coming back for
He's definitely
Falcon and
coming
Winter
back for
Soldier.
this.
So if there is some kind of like
way that we can get Wonder Man to get
hey,
his MCU debut, you're ready for it?
I'm ready for it. If they can get some kind of way where some character named Simon is like, hey, I like want to get revenge on the Avengers, help me get powers. I'm all in.
Right.
Yes, if they can end up giving me Wonder Man, then like, that's gonna be my new favorite.
Okay, I'm ready for. How did you feel about the Loki trailer?
I don't know. I'm not the biggest Loki fan, and so I already was not that into it. I do think it's cool to see like the side by side shots of the way that he looks on the show and the way that he looks in the comic and how accurate they went there. I think that's really cool. But I don't know. I'm not the biggest like Loki fan. I know this one is all about like time and he's being basically detained by the time police. And I'm assuming maybe they have to send him on missions or something. I don't know what's going on there, but some of the shots looked cool that they showed there. These shows all look extremely expensive. I know that they've had like $150 million budgets, which is insane. And I know that before that, the highest like TV show production budget was Game of Thrones season 8, and theirs was only $90 million. So I think that kind of shows you why these have been like, they gave these big film budgets. So they really are going like all out with all their scenes. So I think this stuff looks really cool. But the Loki show, like, I don't know. There was that one shot that kind of looked like it could have been Black Widow, but I don't know what that was.
I heard people saying that. I still didn't see it. I went back and watched the trailer like 3 times. I was like, I'll see it. But I was like, I might just be blind. I don't think it's her,
though. I did notice though that they said the Falcon and Winter Soldier show was going to come out in March, and with that coming out in March, and the WandaVision show coming out January 15th, that means they're going to have a new MCU show like from January to March every day of Friday. So they're really going to and probably honestly with as much content as they announced the other day at this Investors Day, they probably will have a new like MCU TV show on Disney Plus like every day of the year.
It's really exciting. This is a great time to be a comic book fan. I really can't wait until we start getting some She-Hulk set photos and we get that final confirmation of Moon Knight, of who the actor is. I'm really crossing my fingers that if it was Isaac, we're still just in the talk negotiation phase and they can convince him to come around, because I like now that it's in my head, I can't see anybody else doing it.
Yeah, he would have been great as Moon Knight. Yeah.
I know some people really like the guy Oliver Cohen Jackson. He was on Into the Badlands and he was on some Fox show where they were like paramedics or like firefighters. I don't remember. He's a cool
That's like every
guy.
other Fox show.
It really, it really is. He's a cool guy, but it's just it's like no, I need Oscar Isaac. Like there, it's in my brain now. I've seen fan art of it. I don't accept anyone else.
Yeah, and I assume that that announcement will probably have to end up coming sooner than later because I think that they were trying to get that out like
Yeah.
this 2021
And
probably.
my thing is like they didn't announce anything for it. Like you could have at least let us know a director or something or a showrunner or anything. You know, it's just like no, the show's coming though.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna have that show premiere like after the Ms. Marvel TV series and the She-Hulk TV series because those seem to be the ones that are a little bit further along as far as their production goes.
I feel like we'll go WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, Ms.Marvel, Hawkeye. Hawkeye will probably come before Ms.Marvel. Then She-Hulk. Well, and then we'll start getting to the other ones.
So I did a little like peeping right
Uh-huh.
on some of this stuff, and the Hawkeye. There were some set photos that came out recently that Haley Steinfeld I think had also like posted,
Yeah.
and some of the stuff in the background it looked like there's a Christmas stuff in the background. There's like a Santa around there. And there was also something that was like Happy New Year, and the New Year said like 2025.
Oh.
So that makes me think that like Hawkeye will have to take place a few years after Endgame because isn't Endgame like that was supposed to end in 2023? I think is something like that, like with that time jump. So I think that you're right. Then I think that Hawkeye is probably going to premiere after Ms. Marvel because I think Ms. Marvel probably ends up happening like much sooner in the timeline or something.
And then we'll kind of start to get into other stuff of like Ironheart, Armor Wars, Secret Invasion. Well, I don't know. It's Secret Invasions. I guess that one can kind of go anywhere depending on how they want to do it. If we keep it in the past of the 90s or whatever time frame Captain Marvel was in, or if they're going to be in the present. So we'll see. But it's just a very exciting time. I'm really excited for everything. All the other characters. What else? Like the next 10 years is about to be great.
I feel like this one, phase 4, in my opinion, is going to be the phase that is setting up the explosion of phase 5. Because I feel like this one is going to be the one where we're getting like some pieces of the Young Avengers, you know, like they're kind of being bubbled up in the background. The old Avengers team, excuse me, they are like, you know, kind of old now. Or they done, or they out of here. So like I feel like they're gonna do a Young Avengers, and they're also gonna have like the new Avengers, and have like a build up of a new Avengers team. And I also think that there weren't any announcements yesterday, and I think that they will probably have a much bigger platform for this kind of announcement. But I think that we aren't gonna see the X-Men in this phase.
I agree.
No, I think that's too soon. But I do think that we're going to probably start to see mutants in this phase. And I think that they're going to start to like sprinkle out the idea of like mutants and like, you know, do that whole thing. And then phase 5 is when you get like, you know, the X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men, all that kind of stuff.
I'm so excited for the X-Men.
Oh, well, yeah. That's going to be that conversation I know will be insane.
That day is going to be wild. Okay. Yeah. Because you know we've been waiting for this.
Yeah.
A long time.
Listen, I cannot wait to march my 45-year-old ass in that into that
get out of my way,
when it
kids.
Happens. That's gonna be exciting.
It's just like it's going to happen. I'm gonna be old and I'm gonna be ready and I'm gonna be getting my life.
Absolutely.
All right. Were those were really like the big things to discuss? You know, was there anything else happen that you noticed or that you saw?
No, that Investors Day like was so exciting. I'm excited for a lot of this stuff coming.
Did it make you feel some type of way about DC?
You know, no, because unfortunately, I don't even really think about them anymore.
And you know, it's really unfortunate because, you know, of course, everybody was like, oh, you know, DC made their big announcement and then here comes Marvel again. But it really just reminded me of how much DC is sitting on. Like, why are we getting a Peacemaker show starring John Cena?
Exactly. Like,
Like, why is that happening?
yeah, you have so much why are we getting a Peacemaker show and not anything with Vixen?
Why are we getting a Snyder cut?
For what? For who?
It's just a
Why?
4 hour.
They don't have any, like, it feels like they're still lacking in a plan and just kind of sticking things at the wall and hoping to see what sticks. But I don't know. I don't know. Unfortunately, I being completely honest here, I wasn't even thinking about them because
Yeah.
the DC films have always just been so like that I don't know. I'm
I
hoping
feel
that they
like
can kind of get it together.
I feel like they were kind of like on an upswing, once we started doing things like, especially after Aquaman, Shazam, Birds of Prey, like those were very good movies, pretty well received. And so it started feeling like a little bit lighter in tone. They announced Ava's New Gods and some other stuff here and there. And then ever since we've kind of gone back to knowing that Snyder's coming back to do this cut, and then they also talk about they're potentially giving him more movies to do. And then it's just kind of like, no, we're going backwards. This isn't what we wanted.
Yeah, and I
Where's
guess
like, give us the Legion. Where's the Legion of superheroes? Where's the
I would love
film
that.
version of the Teen Titans, and or just doing another show? And again, DC is different because they've always really tapped into their multiverse, so they could have been giving us kind of all these like otherworldly type of stories and like mixing and matching and doing this stuff. Battison's coming, which I'm still very excited for. And don't get me wrong, I love Batfleck. So honestly, like that's the only reason like I don't mind the Snyder stuff, because it's like it's bringing Ben Affleck back. I remember they were talking about what his movie was supposed to be about and how it was going to be him fighting Deathstroke, and I was just like, yes, I would have been so into that.
I personally would have loved that. Batfleck he's my favorite Batman still, so I would have loved to see him and Deathstroke kind of go at it. I saw the plot of that. I don't know how that would have felt about the script per se, but the two of them fighting would have been dope.
Everything. Like
Yeah.
I truly wouldn't have cared. It could have been horrible. I would have been like, this is great. But no, so I won't lie. It made me feel a little way about DC. I really want them to get it together, because like you said, this is such a good time to be a comic book fan, where you're like winning in so many aspects, and that is one that is just lacking. And it's like, it sucks because they have so many characters that they can do so much with.
Yeah, they could really end up being something that like really exploded as far as the live action goes. But we'll see soon. Wonder Woman 1984 is coming out
Did you
on
see that clip
Christmas.
of her running?
I did. And whoosh. This is gonna be an interesting watch. We'll definitely have to set up a plan to do a watch with everybody there, because
Absolutely.
it'll be interesting to watch. Yeah.
I'm ready for Cheetah. But yeah.
Well,
So
all right. Let's take a break and then we'll come back for that relaunch.
do. All right. And now we are back for the relaunch portion of our show.
Yes.
I really like doing this.
Everyone's favorite portion of the show.
It's always funny because I know we joke about Marvel and DC people listening to this. And it's always funny because you see creators online and they talk about how they're like, do not tell me your story ideas.
Yeah.
It's like, it is illegal. Like, I get trouble. It's like, I can't listen, but it's like, I know that you are listening and I know you hear these story ideas. And it's cool.
Take it. I don't care. I'm hoping that you hear it and take it. Do you want to go first this week?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'll go first.
Go for it.
So, I'll go ahead and start. The characters who I decided to relaunch are Hawk and Dove from DC Comics. Now,
nice.
I don't really talk about Hawk and Dove a lot, but I do really enjoy those two characters. For those who don't know, Hawk and Dove were created in 1968 by Steve Ditko and Steve Skeets. It was two brothers, Hank Hall and Don Hall. And so when Ditko originally created them, he wanted this story to be about like sibling rivalry and these two brothers who get these like magic powers kind of working together. DC actually changed the way that he had to write the characters. So Hank is obviously like this very kind of just big, burly fighter. He's aggressive. He's angry all the time. And Dawn is like this very meek, fragile kind of kid who doesn't like to fight. So originally, Dicko said he wanted Dawn to fight. Like he wanted him to like just be a smarter type of fighter than Hank was, but DC was like, no, like we don't want him to do anything. So he ended up having to kind of write him always running, and it's really interesting. I took the last week to just immerse myself in Hawkins comics to get a little bit better understanding of their characters, because again, they're characters I've always kind of enjoyed, but they don't have too many appearances in a lot of places. So it's like, they've been Teen Titans. They were on Birds of Prey for a little bit. They had decent sized roles in like the Blackest Night, Brightest Day time of DC Comics. And so I didn't realize that they had like this really long solo series. They had a couple mini series. And so I went back and read those. And man, they're really interesting. And it was fun because the second mini series that came out in the 80s, it's actually how Rob Liefeld got his big break in the comic book industry.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He was like an up and coming artist who just was getting a lot of good praise and press. And so they put him on this book to kind of like boost him. And I was reading that 80s miniseries and I was sitting there, I was like, I really like this art. I was just like, oh, I was like, I really love it. Like the expressions are great, like it movement, it's all this stuff. And so then I think by issue, like I hadn't really paid attention to who was doing the art on the books. I was just like on my DC Universe app, like just scrolling through, and I get to like issue 3 or something, and on like the credits page, there's his name and like these just big letters, and I was like, whoa, this is like mind blowing to me, because man, this man's style has changed for the worse.
Yeah, because I don't
And
I don't think I've ever read a Liefeld book and said, I love the art in here.
let me tell you, and so he actually did a reboot series for them in like the early 2000s, and I was going back and comparing the covers of the 80 series and the 2000 series. It's like night and day. It literally looks like two completely different artists, and I was just shocked by that. But it's a really good series. I'd honestly highly recommend it if you have the DC app. It's only like 6 issues, but that one introduces the female Dove, Dawn Granger. So also there have been a couple of Hawk and Doves. There's Hank and Dawn, the male. Then there's Hank and Dawn, female. And then there was Dawn, the female, and her sister Holly, who also took up the mantle of Hawk for a brief period of time, and she debuted in the Teen Titans. Also another fun character. So their powers, they have like a danger sense that helps them magically transform into their costumes, and they have been chosen by the gods of chaos and order to just be the avatars of Earth, of what goes on. And their biggest villain is this guy Kestrel, and he is an agent of chaos who's basically trying to control Hawk. And it's just fun. It's got like this pseudo mystical thing going on. It's a lot of action in the series. You kind of get a really good sense of the characters. It moves Hank to this point where he has to stop being just a super macho guy because he has to work with Dawn, the female. And it's interesting to kind of like watch her in this mode, because Hank is refusing her at first, and he's like, no, like Dove was my brother, he's dead, I don't know who you are. And she's like, well, they granted me this power as well, we need to figure out why, we need to work together to do this. And they're just a really interesting duo. They kind of have love for each other, of course, every now and again, but they've also dated lots of other people. So their series went for about like 30 something issues. It started getting low sales. And so during one of the DC events, the time traveling villain Monarch was coming around. So there was like this big editorial issue where it got leaked that Monarch was supposed to be Captain Atom. Because that happened, DC actually switched it to Hawk. They said that
Oh,
it
wow.
was actually going to be, to make it like the super surprise last twist. They said that like, oh, this is a future version of Hank Hall who comes back in time. He fights Hawk and Dove. He kills Dove, which ends up making Hawk go insane and start his villainous journey into Monarch. Then he dies. And then they come back in Blackest Night. And they go around here and there. So my relaunch for them is kind of putting them back together in their own series, of course. One of the things that DC's been doing a lot of stuff with lately is their multiverse. We've had like the Metal event, Endless Winter, and a lot of things just going on with that. And so I would like them to kind of explore chaos, order, magic in the different multiverse portions of their universe, kind of like they're those supernatural detectives going around, because like obviously this isn't just, there's a reason that all this stuff keeps coming back to them.
Yeah, that would be really interesting to see them kind of like multiverse hop, I guess, would you say? Like chaos order thing?
Go ahead, that was my bad.
Yeah, I think that would be really interesting to kind of see them multiverse hop, kind of like what you said. DC's really, that's like their thing, the multiverse. So it would be interesting to see them kind of do that. I'm not the biggest person that knows a lot about Hawk and Dove, other than them, their appearances that I've seen them in the Titans, and I know that like
They're
is
really good
Hawk
in
the one that's
Titans
like
too.
all aggressive or something, like, right?
Yeah, Hawk is the red and white one, Dove is the blue and white one. And they're just, I think for magic, because you know, I've talked about Justice League Dark and how that's kind of exploring what magic is in the DC universe. And I think with Hawk and Dove, they are magical adjacent. So it's like they have like supernatural threats. They don't have magical abilities themselves. It's more so based around the chaos and the order of magic. Like, this breeds bad things. You guys need to find a way to stop it, because the gods who gave them their powers basically gave it to them because they wanted to show other gods that chaos and order don't constantly have to battle. They can work together for the greater good.
Interesting. I never knew that. Okay.
Yes. So that's their whole thing. So I like to see a little bit more of them. I think they're fun characters. I think they got a lot of potential to do stuff. Hawk and Dove.
Nice. Okay. So my relaunch this week is kind of an obscure kind of villain group, and they are the Forces of Nature. Now, I know probably most people don't even know who the hell they are.
I don't even know who this is, okay? That's a shock.
They were pretty big New Warriors villains, and I mean, are you shocked? The name Force of Nature is super 90s, which is like very, very New Warriors. And they were made up of individuals who each can control an element. So fire, water, earth, and air. Sorry, yeah. So the air portion of the Force of Nature is a guy named Skybreaker, and he actually is an inhuman who can control air. The water member of the team is Aqueduct. Now, he actually has a little bit of a longer history than the other members. He used to go by Water Wizard, and he used to like just kind of pop up and fight, you know, like the Spider-Mans and kind of any other like hero in New York.
Yeah.
The another character was Firebrand. Now, in my relaunch, I would actually keep the name Firebrand, but I would change the character. So the original Firebrand was a guy named Russ Broxtall, and he used to fight like I said, like the Spider-Mans and stuff like that. I would actually change that, keep the name Firebrand, but bring about the other Pyro that we had. I don't know if you remember the
one from X-Men Gold.
Yeah, the gay Pyro, Simon Lasker.
Yeah.
I would bring him around and have him be rebranded as Firebrand and make him a part of this team.
Okay.
And the other member was Terraformer. Now, Terraformer was this like plant-based villain that could like control the earth, and they were actually killed in a Civil War tie-in. So the Force of Nature actually, after they were like apprehended as villains, they became the heroes of Oregon in the like 50 state initiative that was a part of Civil War. Remember that like kind of failed thing?
I remember that. Yeah. There were some good folks in that initiative crew.
Yeah, they kind of like they tried to make something work there, but whatever. So I would bring about a different character who was Flint from the Inhumans. He was the black Inhuman who could also control Earth. I would bring him back around and have him be like kind of a villain, but maybe turn him like, you know, I don't know if I want to stick around to be a villain. So the Forces of Nature, their whole like reason for being a villain is they're kind of like all about Earth and like saving the ecosystem.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That doesn't sound very villainous.
You would right, but they go about things in a very, I guess, villainous way. They use their powers to kind of to stronghold people into doing the correct things for the environment. Which I mean, that's not that bad, right?
Yeah, no, it's very Poison Ivy.
Yeah, and I feel like I would bring them around now as either a villain for Krakoa as a whole or for like X-Force or something. So you know how they've been getting into the whole like Krakoa and like the medicines that is introducing into Earth, and like probably even just Krakoa itself and what it does to the ecosystem probably isn't like all that great. Like we don't really talk about how it affects like the ecosystem of the planet. I think that would be really interesting to kind of bring them back around and make them like a bigger threat to either X-Force because of the way that, you know, Krakoa is interacting on different planets, or the way that the gates are interacting on different planets and how those are like affecting the Earth. I think that would be really interesting. So I would bring back the forces of nature with Aqueduct, Skybreaker, Firebrand, but as Simon Lasker, and then I bring Flint back around as like the Earth person.
And I really liked Flint too. So I didn't even think about relaunching a villain. That's a good idea. I think I'm right.
And I feel like Marvel, like their villains need a little bit of a relaunch. I feel like the villains haven't really done anything super villainous lately. Like I feel like there needs to be some kind of bigger...
They turn them all into heroes.
Yeah. And sometimes people can just be bad. So I feel like that would be okay.
Okay. I really like that. The forces of nature. I might look into this group. They sound cool.
Yeah, they've all got really cool designs, and like I said, they were really mostly like New Warriors villains back in the day, and they've kind of had some cute little pop-ups where they fought villains separately.
Yeah.
But I think that they would be really cool to kind of bring back around.
Okay. Forces of nature.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
All right, guys. So that brings us towards the end of the show, and we wanted to say that next week we will be talking about Wonder Woman. That's the first film of Wonder Woman. And to kind of get ready for Wonder Woman 1984, which is debuting on HBO Max on Christmas Day on December 25th.
Christmas Day.
So join us next week when we'll be talking about that, and we'll be making an announcement on when we're going to be like live tweeting it out. So check the Twitter and see when we do that.
We're definitely going to do another rewatch of Wonder Woman, and we really hope you guys join in and kind of live tweet with us. Wonder Woman 1984 is going to be a movie that comes out, and I'm really excited to see and hear everyone's thoughts on it.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. I caught the shade, but that'll be a lot of fun.
No, there was no shade in that. You know, I'm excited for Cheetah.
Well, that brings us to the show, everybody. You can catch us on Twitter at Another Relaunch. You can also email us any questions, concerns, any kind of feedback you guys have. Been loving getting those back at anotherrelaunch@gmail.com. You can find me on social media platforms at UncannyLZ. Keenan, where can they find you?
You can find me on social media platforms at Keenan Lance with an _ at the end.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Tune in next week. And thanks so much for listening. Oh, and definitely, give us comments, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, do all that stuff. And we really appreciate all of your support. So thanks so much, y'all.
Great, guys. You're amazing.
Yeah. All right. Catch you guys next week.